to you. This is Breakfast with Stephen and Anne on TV, on radio, online, just about everywhere.
On the app, everything.
Oh, yes, you like the app. You're very fond of the app.
Well, I like the app, yeah. I find it useful. It's because I can't get my DAB Plus to work.
Oh, yeah. There you go.
I think because it doesn't have a plus.
I think maybe you need to just buy a new car.
Yes, that would be much easier than trying to do anything on the radio on it. Yeah,
anyway,
quite a good
let's take you to the papers. Last time today, an extra special chief executive of the Demos think tank and former advisor to Nick Clegg, Polly Mackenzie, is here, and author and academic Joanna Williams. Morning to you both. Joanna, we're going to start with the Telegraph and woke universities.
Well, I didn't call this woke universities, but this is a story. I guess it is a description of what's going on in some of our woke universities. It's one of the colleges at Cambridge University. This is quite a long-running story, actually. There's a chapel in this college, very old chapel, and it's got a plaque to commemorate a 17th century benefactor. Gave lots and lots of money to the college. A chap called Rustat, who I've got to confess I'd never heard of. Apparently very wealthy, gave lots of money, but now, 300 years later, 400 years later, is rumoured to have been linked to slavery, the campaign to get the plaque removed. This was then challenged by the Church of England, and the upshot of all of this is that it's cost over £120,000, and the plaque is still there. And it just really struck me as how out of touch student politics is, and all these kind of cancel culture debates, because you think, what could have been done with that £120,000? And if the aim of some of this is to push back against racism and racism in education, well, actually, you take some black kids at schools on, growing up on council estates, schools in rundown areas, and how much better spent that money could have been if it had actually been put into educating children who might never even get to Cambridge University. Just seems what a complete waste of money for some political virtue signalling to make a few students, and actually it's not the students, I think it's more the academics and the head of the college at this Cambridge College.
Which college is it?
It's Jesus College, Cambridge. So, I mean...
Surprised they're not upset about their own name.
Give them
just what do you think? I mean, on the one hand, yeah, in fact, it would be more acceptable if it was students making a fuss, but if it's some of their bosses, it is a waste of money. What do you think, though?
For me, I think it's most important, and it feels like a good settlement between these two rival camps, is where we provide information and contextual insight about, if you're going to commemorate or have a statue to someone who's a slaver, have a plaque alongside it, give people information.
Saying nowadays, in the 21st century, this gentleman is considered,
Because it's important, I think, for us to recognise the good and bad in our history. Loads of stuff were done in the name of Britishness and in the name of white people that I don't think any of us respect or stand for, but the reality is those things happened. None of us benefit from pretending that they didn't. It's really important to think about the reality of who paid for these buildings, what does that mean? And you don't achieve that by removing plaques, you only achieve it by adding more information.
Absolutely, but how many people have actually gone on and read that plaque in the last 50 years?
Probably no one.
Yeah, but
Like, for me, so the much better thing to do is to think about how actually can you educate people about some of...
Update the plaque.
It would cost 25 quid to update the plaque.
The problem is some of these campaigns are actually built on quite dodgy knowledge as well, because this chap Rustat, I have to say I don't know a whole lot about him, but, he wasn't as entrenched within the slave trade as he's rumoured to be. This is one of the problems that's come to light.
Exactly, but wouldn't it be better if what we did is try and figure some of this stuff out and think about some of the people who, like most people, do good things and bad things. It's perfectly possible to have been a brilliant architect or a great philanthropist who was also racist or anti-Semitic or problematic in other ways. Let's talk about that.
Oh, absolutely. Teacher fatigue in The Guardian, Polly. I mean, this is worrying. We talked to someone the other day about this. A teacher came in, but it's hugely concerning, the stress that they're under.
It's hugely, an hour ago we were talking about the need for more nurses and doctors in hospitals. We're seeing the same, I think, exhaustion, kind of public sector recruitment crisis among teachers. The pandemic was really tough for teachers. Lots of them teaching remotely, lots of them in schools looking after those kids who were there. Huge disruption, and they work incredibly hard. And what's heartbreaking is that basically 10 years of progress in narrowing the gap between rich and poor kids was eliminated in just the first 10 weeks of lockdown. And it's on teachers' shoulders, without, unfortunately, the relevant funding or enough people to deal with that. And it becomes like a reinforcing cycle, right? Because if you've got teacher shortages, it becomes really stressful for teachers, so more of them give up.
Yeah.
And so then you have worse teacher
And we
shortages.
expect more and more and more of them all the time, don't we? We expect them to be mental health care workers. We expect them to
social
take
workers.
5-year-olds and teach them how to brush their teeth. Everything society falls down on. We say, well, why don't we teach them that at school?
Exactly, and so they end up being a kind of social service of last resort. As you see other resources in the community, local government being cut, more needs turn up at the door of the school. The school my kids are at hands out ready meals every Friday because they know there are food shortages among them.
Maybe we need to teach them how to make jewellery.
Nice
It's
link.
in the mail.
That's more.
So this is Mylene class, who...
Mylene?
I said Mylene, sorry.
Mylene.
I defer to the expert here, Stephen. Mylene class, who's showing off her new ring, which she has made out of her own breast milk. The Daily Mail details
Sure,
the
something to
process. Apparently you have to express the breast milk, dry the breast milk, you have to add coloured dyes to the breast milk, and then you make it into a little inset for a ring.
Like the theme tune. It's in the theme tune.
Yes. Sell it on Twitter.
These kind of things becoming all the rage nowadays. I mean, you can, if your pet dies, you can make a ring out of your pet dog or your pet cat's ashes. And I have to say, I think it needs to stop. I think it's gone too far.
I think it's gone too far too.
Love it. Okay, Joanna, Polly, we're out of time. Really good to see you both this morning.
What a
Thank you very
load of
much
nonsense. What a load of nonsense. And it doesn't even look particularly good either.
No, it doesn't.
It's just a ring with a funny little dot on the top, which is apparently allegedly made of breast milk.
She should have expressed a bit more.
Oh, please.
It's 9:40.